Hey, John Gilroy here. Today, we focus on user experience for federal websites. We include navigation pane, clunky interfaces, and rage clicking. Hit the music, Manny. Welcome to the Federal Tech Podcast, the podcast that connects you to federal technology leaders. My name is John Gilroy, and I will be your moderator. Our guests today are Amanda Chavez, Vice President of Strategy at Qualtrics, and Rishi Vajpayee, Vice President of Qualtrics Federal Civilian. Rishi, first question comes to you. I thought web design was only important for people who sold shoes. The federal government's got to worry about this?
Absolutely, John. Websites are the front door by which federal agencies deliver services to citizens, even their own employees. And it makes sense that they must ensure that websites have the same seamless design, same user experience as we expect in the commercial sector.
So, Amanda, I did my research for this interview, and I found out that efficient website design, user interface, user experience can actually save money for the federal government. Is that true?
Absolutely. So if you don't have to spend a lot of time fixing that digital front door that Rishi was talking about, because you have a frictionless experience, people can get to where they're trying to go and the job that they're trying to accomplish when they get to the website. And so if that is working well, the user interface, then you don't have to correct a lot of things on the back end. So that will, of course, reduce the burden of labor hours, et cetera. And furthermore, if you add artificial intelligence to that, to find out sort of where the troubles are in that user interface, and you can aggregate that data and, solve those problems quickly, again, that's going to help you prevent some of those costs as well. And in fact, they're talking about just that in the White House's AI action plan.
So, Rishi, I'm glad you brought up the front door, because I'm having a carpenter come out tomorrow to look at my back door. Apparently, after 20 years, it's suffered some water damage and has to be maybe replaced or adjusted or something. So I would imagine there's federal websites that have water damage too and maybe have to be improved. Maybe a website that might have worked even 2 or 3 years ago has to be changed and updated because so many new things coming in. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, every website, as agency missions are delivered on, and as we see advances in technology, websites need to get upgraded. One of the important things to note is we are upgrading, we as in federal agencies, upgrade only the things that are broken, right? In the spirit of efficiency, in the spirit of cost savings, agencies do not have to do a full overhaul from scratch every single time. And to start that upgrade process, the best way to start is to ask the users of the website, what are the things we can fix, right? Sometimes it's as simple as updating some of the content to make it more clear. Sometimes it's fixing one simple widget. And really, our advice is to always ask your stakeholders what to fix before embarking on a potentially very expensive upgrade project.
So, Amanda, it looks like we're trying to get continuous feedback from users on this. Now, is this done statistically through heat maps? Is this done through surveys? Is this done through interviews? So how is it exactly done?
So it's actually everything that you mentioned in aggregate and at scale. So, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I've been creating CX organizations, for about 20 years. And what's interesting about it is that we used to do all of this manually, right? To improve user interface, for example, within a broader customer experience. And back in the day, you would look through two-way mirrors, and it evolved to being able to monitor eye tracking, et cetera. But in order to do that at scale, that was not something that we had technology to do, I should say, even 10 years ago. So it's just amazing now that you can take those things that you mentioned, like aggregating data to come up with, heat maps to tell you where those rage clicks are, can really paint a more accurate picture of how to diagnose and then correct problems with the user experience. So it's really critical, actually, to have that.
Well, Rishi, breaking news, it's 2025, and the big push now is do more with less, reduce staff. I think that it would be more efficient. And so how can improving UI UX for the federal website, how can that increase, how can that save money? How can that reduce expenses?
I mean, the purpose is really to deliver on those services, right? And if agencies can deliver the services that they are required to for citizens in a seamless manner, in a manner that reduces the amount of rage clicks, frustrations, in a manner that makes it clear why certain services are delivered the way they are, or what are some potential benefits that citizens and employees gain through engaging with that particular agency. The overall value is an increase in trust, as well as a reduction in the cost to serve. A happier, more seamless experience online leads to fewer phone calls to the call center, fewer negative sentiment interactions, happier employees. We've seen relations and a linkage between positive customer experience, which leads to positive employee experience. So fewer phone calls to the call center results in a lower cost to serve, since each phone call actually is a cost to an agency. And happier phone calls, if I say, actually leads to happier employees and more satisfied employees. So it is all an interconnected sort of continuum of service delivery, service recovery, and also building trust with our stakeholders.
So, Amanda, this isn't just a citizen from Kansas trying to get information from Social Security. This could be a website that is internal. It could be part of the Department of Labor where they have to come and get information. All of a sudden, what's more critical now may not be handicap accessibility, but it may be something like making sure the data they access is complete and fast. So it kind of both sides of the coin, internal and external websites, right?
Absolutely. And, it's funny that you're mentioning this. I remember reading a couple of years ago about doctor burnout, and this was before COVID. And 70% of doctors said that part of what was contributing to their burnout was having to interact with electronic health records. Huh. And it's a really good illustration of how the employee experience with systems affects everything else. If you take electronic health records, for example, so much of the technology was built decades ago, right? And some of that was built in languages that are no longer being coded in anymore by people who no longer code. And so when you're starting to modernize, like you were talking about before, like why do you improve the front end of websites? Like why do you evolve that? Because we evolve. And like Rishi said, we evolve in what we're expecting. So electronic health records started to, as we're all evolving with what we're expecting, electronic health records are building more onto their existing platforms and building sort of a Frankenstein monster. So when you have that, it affects everything that happens with the patient. And I genuinely mean this. I studied this at another engagement that I had. And it really, really makes an impact. So from, the staff who has to code, like what's going on and how to bill it to the doctors who also have to get a code in there too. And they have to enter in the information a certain way. And they have to look around in 50 different places. All of that means that you as the patient are getting this really like truncated experience first, because, that we all know that even to see specialists, most of us only get 15 minutes with the doctor. So you're truncating it potentially even further if somebody has to mess around with an electronic health record where they're not aware of how to find the different pieces of functionality to be able to successfully complete that experience for you. So it really does have wide-ranging implications when the back-end systems are not really working out for the staff. It affects you and me as the consumers.
Rishi, we're going to jump to the front end and go back to that again. We earlier started the discussion talking about getting feedback from users to understand how to optimize a website. That's good. It's good. And in about a week, I'll be sending you a transcript of this interview. And a transcript, as we well know, is unstructured. Yeah. So is emails. Yeah. How about comments? Oh, so it's not just ABC, and then Amanda goes and types ABC and says 32% A. Or no. When you get unstructured data, all of a sudden Rishi's up to midnight beating his head against the wall, going, "Well, this comment means how do I structure it?" I mean, there's 52 different comments here. So how do you organize feedback that's not structured?
Yeah, I guess before I dive into unstructured, let me take a step back. Right, the the reason why we do this, right? The reason why we ask for feedback, why data collected from feedback, like data collected from feedback helps agencies prioritize and allocate those resources. We talked about, right, why should they do that? What about like the potential for cost savings and understanding what is actually causing challenges? Now, we can ask those questions. We can collect that feedback a number of different ways. There's traditional surveys, right? I think everyone has experienced surveys. While traditional surveys, explore what we call like just a point in time, like a snapshot, they tend to miss the deeper context behind specific users' experience. And that experience can be with anything. It could be a process, it could be the website, it could be an entire workflow. To better understand what is going on, we need to leverage what we call the gold mine of unstructured data. And that gold mine exists in calls, transcripts, in open-ended comments, posts on social media, email, even case notes, right, within contact centers.
So Amanda, enter stage left. Artificial intelligence, is that the tool used to vacuum in all that information and make sense of it? Is that the role?
Of course. You can take all of that information and aggregate it and then get a clearer picture of what the customer's experience looks like. So in addition to, being able to get that window, going back to like cost savings with that as well, like it's not necessarily even using like AI and automation through AI to fix some of those workflows that, come out of that data that's being aggregated that shows you where to look for it. AI enables you to potentially eliminate that process altogether. And so, but again, you don't know how to do that and you don't know where to look unless you're collecting all of that unstructured and structured data to paint the picture of where you need to go. And I mean, it's once you, again, collect that and aggregate it at scale, the picture becomes clear really quickly. And what the opposite is, though, is that when you just go in and like rip out systems, all of these systems connect to 500 other systems. And there will be implications for the services that people are receiving. So again, taking the time, 5 minutes before to look at that feedback, understand where the signals are, and then use the power of AI to completely transform it. That is how you get to something that's, not just like a hammer approach to modernizing, but you really get something very specific and pinpointed. And it's almost like measuring twice to cut once, but quickly.
So Rishi, I'm taking notes here, and I'm listening to both you, and I'm saying, well, maybe this can yield maybe a qualitative advantage or qualitative data. Then I notice the name of your company is Qualtrics, and I go, well, hey, Rishi, am I making this connection here? Is that what it's all about? It's like using data, but getting deeper to have a qualitative understanding of that data. I mean, that's the hard part.
Absolutely, John. I mean, I'll give you an example. Like, take, for example, a call transcript, right? Yeah. The transcript might reveal perhaps a recurring frustration with a specific aspect of public service. It could also pinpoint a policy gap. It could highlight some systemic barriers that traditional structured questions, your yes, no, true, false, those questions will fail to uncover, right? Comments, on the other hand, on social media can give early signals on emerging concerns, perhaps even misinformation that the public is concerned about, is talking about. And by capturing and analyzing this unstructured data, and Amanda said it, at scale, can really help agencies kind of uncover patterns and root causes that might otherwise go unnoticed and worse, unaddressed.
And we all know Simon Sinek. He says, start with why. And that's really the hard. Anyone can say, here's a 500-word transcript. There, dump it on your desk, walk away. Oh, really? Here's 52 comments. Well, fine. Well, I mean, someone's unhappy with the speed. Well, why? I mean, is it only with one? Is it one application? And so, boy, it's just, I think a lot of times artificial intelligence will give you, here's the word, will give you superficial understanding. And even human intelligence can give you superficial understanding. It's 4:45. I've got to go home. I'm going to dump this survey on Amanda's desk and go home. And it's just yes, no answers, and it'll be fine. Well, there's got to be more to it than that. And I think that's I think in marketing they say the riches are in the niches, and I think the understanding is in the depth of knowledge of understanding the response. And boy, it's so easy to gloss over, right, Rishi?
No, absolutely. I mean, we speak of AI and natural language processing, but what that does, it gives us the ability to dig deeper, and it provides, our customers, federal agencies, with a more holistic view, a more richer, more nuanced understanding of their stakeholder experiences, right? It's no longer about just measuring satisfaction scores, but it's really about the why, uncovering the root causes behind those scores so that agencies can tailor service delivery, service recovery, interventions, upgrades, new websites accordingly. That's really the goal of this. And the result is more effective, more responsive, smarter service delivery, enhanced support, even down to the front line, and improving that overall trust with the public.
So, Amanda, this is kind of a sensitive question. We'll test your social skills here. You're doing an internal website, and you're doing surveys, and you find out that Gilroy software is giving bad data, and they're frustrated with that. And so your job is to contact Gilroy software and say, hey, I mean, you talked about 500 interfaces. There may be just one that causes a certain problem, or it's slow, or it's garbled. I mean, there's not every organization provides clean data. So how do you handle that hot potato, Amanda?
I love that question, John, because I know we're talking a lot about technology here, but that's like you pointed out, like that's a human question. And I mentioned I've stood up 3 CX organizations over the last 20 years. You can have the best technology in the world. If you don't have the right people in the right roles who are able to influence that, what you just said right there, like being able to tell somebody, for lack of a better way to say it, your baby's ugly, right? Like you have to, it's not you, John, not you, and certainly not Gilroy software. But if you don't have people who know how to do that, and can engender buy-in from the rest of the organization. This great if you can get the data and look at it, but like if you can't, like you said, the mastery of those soft skills, those change management skills, it will go nowhere. And you have to do that before you get the bad data. Like this needs to be architected before you even dream of integrating a system. You have to get architecture in place, governance in place, like who's going to be at the center of this. This is what I would recommend. Who's going to be at the center of this? Who's going to own the voice of the customer data? And then that's the hub. Where are the spokes? Where are the other organizations that are going to get this data and bring those organizations in to help establish that governance so that this is not happening to people. It's not happening to those parts of the organization. It is happening with them. And we're all able to see that when it goes really, really well, you're able to see that you're not like being critical and you're not poking holes at the people who are running those services. You are constructively co-creating a solution to those problems together. Because these problems, by the way, too, like how long has government been around? Like these problems took like so many years to get into, and it's to be expected that there have to be improvements. But again, that's not how human nature goes. So you've really got to map that out up front with the people that data is going to affect.
Yeah. Another way, right at the top of this funnel is you focus on the people, you focus on the processes, but you can also, and I love that the new AI action plan specifically speaks of this, is setting minimum data quality standards.
Yes.
So it actually charges the National Science and Technology Council and a subcommittee within it to establish those data quality standards. So you have a benchmark and you have a sort of a framework that we should adhere to. So you're making sure the data being collected that's coming in through secure channels and the people working on it are all sort of aligned to make sure that
right. So Amanda's just a messenger. She says, Gilroy, you got a problem, go to the CDO, talk to them. It's not me, but I can see where a company like yours is many times put in a awkward situation where there may be something that, because you're working in an auto shop, you get a bad part or something, I mean, if you get bad parts, you're not going to be able to fix a car. And so I think this is it's a next level type situation to be in. And I think it's important to, if you can say that, let's all, maybe with the enterprise architecture, all get together, we're all on the same page, we have to accomplish one, bang, and we have to accomplish two. Okay, now, last week you said you want to accomplish one. So I think that's an important part of it. I mean, it seems so superficial. Yeah, good website design. No. It's a whole lot going on both ends, and data quality is part of this discussion. I think that's coming with all the issues we've seen with the magic of artificial intelligence. I think a lot of those issues could have been resolved with some CDO folks, Rishi?
Yep. I think the three facets of what Qualtrics does, the platform does really well, is collect data, analyze that data, and then give our customers the ability to take the right actions based on that data.
Perfect.
And on the data collection part, like that is where we are like partner closely to make sure the data that's coming in is data you can use. It's human-generated feedback data. We marry that up with operational data from legacy platforms, the what happened, when it happened, and to the human-generated, like what was the reaction to it, what was the experience. And that's why we work very closely with ensuring that the data is of the highest quality and collected in a way that can be analyzed to take the right actions and make those right decisions.
So, Amanda, taking action. So what can listeners do to take action to learn more about your company? Have an event coming up in August?
We do, as a matter of fact. So Qualtrics Federal, which Rishi and I are part, we are hosting a federal summit on August 13th, 2025, depending on when somebody is listening to this. And it will be at the Salamander Hotel in DC.
And what I'll do is, if you're walking your dog and listening to this podcast, I'll put the link in the show notes, and we'll have an image, Qualtrics Federal Summit, mid-August. And then you can take Amanda and say, hey, come over here. I got this problem. And then, because I know this data problem comes up every day. I mean, it's not going to be, we've never heard that before. But I think each individual is different, specific circumstances, and there are people that will meet face-to-face and maybe not put things in email, possibly. I'm just saying, human beings that they are, they want to go face-to-face because sometimes information can get shared too readily with email. Well, I'd like to go more, but we're running out of time here. This is a great topic. I think the whole idea of just getting the more out of what you have is efficient, and making sure your data is clean is a part of this whole solution. You have been listening to the Federal Tech Podcast with John Gilroy. I'd like to thank our guests, Amanda Chavez, Vice President of Strategy at Qualtrics, and Rishi Vajpayee, Vice President of Qualtrics Federal Civilian.